Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the LOCUS Golden Hour podcast. My name is Kristina.
And I'm Lina.
So, this podcast is about sharing stories, advice, tips, and all things surrounding university and student life. And today we'll be talking about summer jobs because it's getting to the point where people are starting to apply to find employment in the summer. So, we can kick it off with an icebreaker question. Lina, what was your first job?
My first job. Throwback. I think a lot of people had this first job. I was a lifeguard and swim instructor. I got my first job when I was 16. I was a bit late. I was a bit older than that. I was in grade 11, like the summer of my grade 11, or no, September. But that was my first job because it took me a while to get my qualifications, to be honest. Um, but yeah, what about you, Kristina?
Um, but first, I just want to talk about your lifeguarding. So did you have to go through all the swimming levels or grades or whatever they're called?
Yeah, you have to get like your certification. So you start with like bronze med, bronze cross, and then your NL, your national lifeguard. But then the place that I was working at, you couldn't apply to lifeguard with just that. You had to also get your swim instructor. So I never like I they only offer the swim instructor's course in the summer, and I would always be away for summer, like at
Uh,
camp. So then the one year I didn't go to camp. And then that was a really good year for me. I got my driver's license, which is
ooh.
about to expire. But anyways, I got my driver's license. I need to do my test. I got my driver's license. I got my certification as a swim instructor. I went to summer school. And if I didn't go to that summer school, I don't know if I would have gotten into my program, to be honest.
Oh, whoa.
So it was a good summer. And then I started working in September. So
Wow. Life moves, life
life
moves.
moved.
Have you ever had to save anybody in your time as a
Um,
lifeguard?
There's been situations like I think the most serious situation was anaphylaxis, but I wasn't working. Like I wasn't on duty. I was there as a person swimming. Like I was,
Uh,
yeah, but then I like kind of helped out. But it was very scary, obviously.
oh boy.
But yeah, because like it's a big emergency. So kind of like I went and saw what happened and tried to help out. But yeah, I didn't have to like I guess deal with most of it. Since I was not working. um, but yeah, I think for like I guess directly, like someone got their toe like stubbed when someone opened the door and it was bleeding, so I had to like
Ah,
bandage it up, which also I do not like blood, which is really
oh,
funny because being a lifeguard, like things happen and stuff. So I had to like it wasn't bad or anything. It was just a little bit of like gauze and like, wrapping up. It was fine. Like she was fine, but obviously like it was a little girl. She was crying, but we dealt with it. It was good. And yeah.
that hurt my toe now thinking about that.
Yeah, no. In the situation, I was like, oh my gosh, because I hate blood, but it's a part of my job.
See, on the other hand, all of my first jobs was working with kids. So my
Oh,
very first job was under the table. I was teaching ukulele to
mm.
a 6-year-old in my neighborhood.
Aw.
Because it was, I think, my high school's guidance counselor. I would just be in the music room all the time in high school.
Yeah.
So he came to the music room once, saw that I was playing ukulele, and he was like, "Hey, my granddaughter wants to learn. She lives
Aw.
here in this in our town." I was like, "Okay." And then
Yeah.
I just I taught her ukulele for a bit. I honestly don't remember why it stopped, but that was like when I was in grade 10. But yeah.
Music teachers, that's a good
Yeah.
job. That is a really good job.
I was going through books with her, but I wasn't qualified to teach though. So I tried my best.
Music teachers make a lot of money.
I think I charged, I don't remember how much it was, but they were only half an hour lessons. Because she was 6, her attention span was shorter, right? So I
hmm
don't remember how much I charged, but it was way more than a minimum wage was at the time for half an
Yeah.
hour.
No,
Yeah.
I feel like working with kids is always like nice. I feel like it's chaotic, but usually fun. Like as a swim instructor, I'd be like, okay, like please, like they would not listen, but it was always a fun time.
Yeah. I have a lot of stories with some of my past jobs. I was a camp counselor. I
hmm
hosted kids' birthday parties at a pottery painting place.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
that must have been fun.
Yeah, except, when I was a camp counselor, I worked at like a visual arts camp.
Mm.
And there were kids like eating pastels. So
That's not safe.
yeah, there's this one kid, just to have a little story. There's this one kid who was eating oil pastels. And I was like, I was like, you can't eat oil pastels. And he was like, it was a raisin. And then I put it in my mouth and it wasn't a raisin. And I was like, that's blue. That is a bright blue oil pastel. And then I got to like call my supervisor, and then she has to floss it out of his teeth.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
They busted out the flaw.
Yeah. Um,
Oh wow. Wow. Well, that's always fun to look back at our first jobs. Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy having that, looking back now?
like honestly, I did, because working with kids is fun, because then you can like be friendly with them, and then it doesn't exactly feel like you're working, if that makes any sense. You're just like hanging out and watching over them kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, I don't know if you have like younger cousins or something like that, but it's kind of like you're hanging out with them, just doing art projects with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, getting into the main section of this podcast, we were talking about summer jobs. So I guess the first thing I think that people probably want to hear about is, how do you find a summer job?
There are many ways. Like you can network on LinkedIn, you can look at Indeed, but you can also definitely look at Navigator. There's a lot of opportunities there, especially that like consider that you're a student, and maybe can only work for the 4 months from like May to August. The Career Center too. There's there's a lot of ways. How have you found summer jobs in the past?
Yeah. Well, I guess within my like university career, a lot of my summer jobs I've used Navigator. So I was a Laurier 101 host last summer, and so obviously I found that there. I think it's nice because Navigator not only has jobs on campus, but off campus. So if you want to work like literally like not random jobs, but like not with like affiliated with the university, they also post that. And then if you do want to work on campus, they also have those opportunities, as well as like remote jobs. So like if it's remote or hybrid, or like if it's in person, like it will say that. So definitely check out Navigator. I'd say it's helpful. And like you said, Chris, working with the university is really nice because they kind of understand your schedule as a student. If you want to work full time in the summer, that's also, I guess, a different kind of thing. But say you're doing courses, or you're in a full term, you're taking a full course load, I think working with the university is always a great option.
Yeah. I think I need to look into that, to be honest, because I have only kind of looked at Navigator before, but I haven't really looked, and I don't have a summer job exactly lined up yet. So I gotta take a look.
It's great. Yeah, I'd say it's really, really just a fun time. Not I don't know why I said it's a fun it's a really useful resource because the job postings there, whereas I feel like Indeed and LinkedIn, like it's very general, like you have to do a lot of filters, or like seeping through everything, and then it takes you to another website. It's a lot, like it's kind of
Yeah.
annoying, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I think that's also like those are really good resources, but also like use your network, like your family is kind of underrated. Like maybe they know someone, or your friends, maybe they have a job opening at their work. I think even talking to perhaps like within your like clubs or volunteering positions, like people know other people who know other people. So
Mhm.
it's always kind of a good thing to be open. And also like most jobs, I forgot the statistic, but most jobs are actually from like referrals and like from your network. So definitely leverage that.
Yeah. Like I know at my current placement right now at the Brantford Food Bank, there's someone who they just like hired like full time. who used to be a student that would volunteer there. So those kinds of connections are definitely helpful. I remember I did have one like summer job opportunity. It fell through because of COVID, but it was going to be something to do with like health information management, which is literally my program. But it was
Mhm.
my aunt who just like got an email about it from her company because
Yeah.
she was like works with a tech company, right? So networks like that are definitely useful. And if you don't have a LinkedIn already, make one.
Make one.
Yeah.
Even if you don't use it, like I don't, to be honest, I'm actually kind of bad. Like I don't really check it that often because it's a social media, people messaging you, like requesting things, but like just have it there so that like you can refer to it, update it. You can just remember everything that you've done, and it is a good way to, it's just good to have it. Like even
Mhm.
if you don't use it, you shouldn't really be using it every day, but like if you want to, you can, kind of thing. But yeah, it's definitely a good resource.
Sometimes I forgot what I was gonna say. Um, oh yeah. Sometimes when you're applying to jobs, you can apply using LinkedIn.
Mhm.
So, you know how sometimes when you apply, you have to put in all of your resume
Oh
information and
gosh.
whatnot. But when sometimes you can apply with your LinkedIn account and it makes it so much easier.
So
So
much easier.
make a LinkedIn.
For sure. In terms of past summer jobs, do you have any from your past experience you want to share?
Well, last summer I worked in like an assembly line warehouse. So I was working like 42 hours a week, 9 hours a day. I found it on Indeed and it was really good for money, but oh my goodness, was it draining because I would spend 9 hours literally screwing things in because it was a company that manufactured lights. So I would literally spend 9 hours sitting there, not talking to anyone, just like screw, 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 next light, screw, 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 next light, like for 9 hours. Um, and thankfully, there's a point where I could listen to music or like listen to a podcast or something. But then there's a point when headphones were banned. So I was just sitting there in my thoughts, just next light, right? Um, so it was good for the money, but I think it's also good to find summer jobs that will help you advance your career or find
Yeah.
those opportunities that will help you build those skills. So that's what I'm going to focus on for this summer. And you can definitely find those opportunities with the school, I think,
Yeah.
and go to the career center to help you find those because some warehouse jobs might be a little bit too like draining, you know.
Yeah, I know like a lot of like students in my program in business are looking for like business experience, and it's hard because sometimes they're looking for people with some experience and you may not have any experience, but just leverage what you have, whether it be your club experience, your volunteering, just your leadership and teamwork skills you've built. So I know it's really hard, I think, especially for students, when you come in and you have maybe had that one job. I literally just had like my lifeguarding job. How do I apply that to business, right? But you can really talk about your transferable skills and kind of, you know, skills can be learned, but a lot of like those soft skills like leadership and stuff, um, usually are harder to develop because you kind of need to be put in those situations. So again, like you are a great person, so you just need to sell yourself properly and understand how to communicate all these wonderful skills and everything that you've learned.
Yeah, exactly. Like everybody starts somewhere, so you may have feel like you have less experience than another person applying to the same job. But even if you feel like you don't meet every single requirement, you will learn it. So there's no harm in applying for a job that you think you might not be like as qualified for. Say like there's like five requirements and you only reach like three. You don't have to reach all five, you know.
Yeah,
That's the point. You're going to learn when you're there. So um
just
definitely like
apply, just
yeah,
apply.
yeah, like definitely be more confident in your skills because you will learn like I know it's hard sometimes you get imposter syndrome like oh I may think I'm good at this but I'm actually not because there's other people better than me, but just apply anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Jess from our previous episodes. She mentioned just like if you don't apply, you don't have that chance. Like you literally have zero chance. Whereas if you applied and say you didn't have certain qualifications, or like, you're nervous about the interview or whatever it may be, like you at least put it out there, and whatever they decide is up to them, kind of thing, right? But you literally have zero chance if you don't. So I'd say, like, even if you're just interested, and it's even just good practice, how to write your resume, how to go through an interview, those are all really good skills. So yeah, I'd say, like, it's gonna take time. And like, I remember in my first co-op term, although like I know co-op and like summer jobs, it's similar, but maybe people might think it's different, but it is basically applying for a bunch of jobs. I applied for like 30 something jobs. That was the minimum for like my program, the requirement. And like,
Wow.
I only got a few interviews, but like, it seems like a lot, right? So like, you might be applying for like 30, 60, 100 jobs, and it it might seem tough, right? Like feeling that rejection or failure, but it's not rejection or failure in the sense where it's like you are the issue, right? It's
Mhm.
like perhaps you don't fit within the company, or there are other things, but like, this is, rather than looking at it that way, you should look at it as a learning experience, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Like, don't be discouraged because just because you might not have been the best fit for this one company, it's probably good that you got turned away because then you're going to be a better fit for another company, you
Mhm.
know? Yeah.
Any other tips as all of these students are applying for these jobs?
Hmm. I think, as much as like it is good to find a job that does advance your career, it doesn't always have to be, like
Mhm.
say you go back to your hometown for the break, for the summer break, and you apply to Starbucks, right? Something like that. Starbucks, I think places like that typically don't like if you only work there for 4 months or something like that. But then you could transfer to the Starbucks near your student house or something like that. So there's that option too if you do want to continue working through the year.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to be restricted to like, okay, I'm gone at the end of August or something like that. You could see with stores like that, maybe like retail, or like if you're a barista or something, you could see like Starbucks, I know, is like pretty flexible with you going between stores, even between cities, because I have friends that do that in the summer and then during the school year. So yeah, there's a lot of options out there.
For sure. Experience is experience. You just have to know how to communicate that, because every single experience you can really um those are transferable skills that you can just apply to any new job. So I'd say, get any experience, and you'll be able to, still have these new skills that you develop in this job. And then you can go to the career center to help you frame it on your resume in a sense that will help you within your industry, or your program that will help you later on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that wraps everything up. We will now go into our words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom.
So, words of wisdom, we always do every single episode. Essentially, we just try to summarize everything we said, or like, what is a key point that we want our listeners to kind of keep with them as they end this episode. So, Christina, what are your words of wisdom today?
I want to say you're probably more qualified than you think. Even if you feel like you don't have as much experience or someone else would be like better suited for the job or something like that, you like everybody starts somewhere. And even if you think that you shouldn't apply, still apply. Have that chance at least.
I like that. I like that. I would say don't give up. It's really hard, being a student. I know, like, having to, perhaps you're finding a part-time job while you're in school or taking courses, or maybe you're trying to find your first full-time job for the summer to give you that little leg up in the future. But whatever it may be, maybe you'll be applying to so many things, maybe you won't get any responses back, but you will eventually. and you're going to keep trying, you're going to keep learning, and this experience is going to help you in the future. So don't give up. You got this.
Snaps. Snap, snap, snaps.
Snap. Awesome. Well, thanks, Chris. And that wraps up our podcast. Make sure you follow it, subscribe, and leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at Locus Laurier to stay up to date with all of our events and podcast episodes. And we will see you next time. Until then, stay golden, everyone. Bye.
Bye.